We got to find it
widely
quickly.
known in the cultural sphere as Nerukhi, is a distinguished educator, artist, and activist, originally from Rio Claro, Dade Straits. After moving to Gasparilla, he began an extensive academic journey that saw him attend Gasparilla Government School, it's also the school I attended, Presentation College, and the John Donaldson Technical Institute. He later specialized in education at Current Teachers College from 2003 to 2005. His professional and academic achievements, his artistic excellence, a retired visual arts teacher, he was recognized as the best visual arts student at Current Teachers College in 2005. His qualifications: he holds a graphic design diploma from the John Donaldson Institute. His teaching legacy: his career in education includes service as a visual arts teacher at Laramine Secondary School in Trinidad. Cultural and musical contributions: Mr. Nerukhi has been an active calypsonian since 2007. He was a member of the Calypso Showcase in 2012 and again from 2016 to 2019. He serves as a producer for the Missionaires Calypso Tent and the Tuco South Central Zone. Beyond Calypso, he is recognized as an A-class musician, a video producer, a writer, and an accomplished artist. Between 1980 and 1991, he served as a political activist for NJAC and was a member of the National Action Cultural Committee. Since 1992, he has been a consistent media commentator through various published articles and letters to the editor. His long history of social activism included a period working closely with the Waro indigenous community. His personal philosophy: the most important thing we can do in our lifetime is to help make the world a better place. At this time, can we stand as we welcome our guest for today, Mr. Nerukhi.
So let me start off by acknowledging the librarian too, Ms. Singh, Ms. Joanne, our librarian, Mr. David Law, Calypsonians, Carrie Stevens, Mr. Kinte, Brother Juba, Anthony Charles, Mr. John Oliver, and I think our young sister Curries has already left. You know, and I think I must say that I had the privilege of hearing her sing at the opening of Calypso Showcase a couple nights ago, and I think that's one of the talents of our country that does not receive the kind of acknowledgement and acclaim. I want to start off by commending the Rio Claro Library. I've been observing you all for some time. And that's not only because I'm from originally born in Dade Straits, but because as someone that's very much interested in culture and community development, I must commend you on a particular initiative. Now, we live in a society where we have a value system that determines a lot of how behavior takes place. You know, sometimes we try to fix a problem. The majority of the time we start in the middle of the problem. We don't get to the root cause. So eventually we do what I keep saying, we keep spinning top in mud. And we hold the head and ball because the problems just don't go away because we didn't get to the root of the problem. We're living in a society where materialism is seen as the measurement of success. And that's a very serious thing. Now, materialism, material accomplishments are very, very, very important. But if we make that alone the measurement of success, then here's what happens. Sadhu from down in the back down so. Anybody could go to when they need some kind of advice or some kind of spiritual attention. Is that value to our society? To Nani across so, when we need a jarre, and she pull out she cookie broom and she cleanse, do a spiritual cleansing. See, we come from a colonial past that demonizes everything good that we do. If you don't do things like how they do it, then it's not really all that. The young sister that works with the young people in her area, and in Gaspereau, where I currently live, there's a young woman by the name of Sandra Pompey. I don't know if you might have heard of her, but she is all over the country, always working with young people, getting them involved in sporting activities or something of that nature. Do we place value on the contribution of people that hold the society together? What about the spiritual Baptist mother who, whenever people have problems, they go to her for advice? What about people like that? So I'm saying that to let you know that each time you recognize somebody from the community that does something of value, you make a step towards correcting that value system problem. And as Mr. Law and the other counselor, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, said earlier on, we need to expose this to our young children. Just imagine you go to the savannah up the road with a large turnout of students from the schools, and you expose them to the people of their community that actually do things of value, and you recognize them in a meaningful way, and you do that over a period of time, what's going to happen in the minds of these young people is that service to the community is something important, something that is recognized. And right then and there, you would have started, well, you already have started it, a major revolution in how people think and the values that we place on things. So, congratulations and a round of applause for the library for that initiative. Now, whether we're talking about Carnival, or whether we're talking about community development, or any aspect of national life, it comes down to something called culture. Unfortunately, we live in a society where the definition of culture is very hazy. In other words, if I were to take a survey of everyone in this room and ask them to write down what culture really is, you're probably going to get as many explanations, as many definitions as there are people in the room. And the majority of times, what we get is really examples of how culture actually manifests in the society. So somebody will say steel band is our culture, or calypso is the culture, or maybe drinking a coconut water around the savannah is the culture, doubles, etc., etc. But these are just examples of how the culture manifests itself. And this morning I'm going to just take a couple excerpts from my upcoming book titled Culture, a Redefinition, to kind of lay the groundwork for what we really come to talk about, how the carnival actually empowers our communities and so on. In my book, I spoke about culture and compared it to a farmer. You know, we have agriculture, right? So we see what the word is implying. And what does the farmer do? The farmer pays attention to his crops. The farmer makes sure that the crops grow to their fullest potential. The farmer knows that he cannot plant tomatoes in the same type of soil that he will plant dashi. The farmer knows that corn helps pigeon peas, so they plant two of them together. So the corn would leave in the soil what the pigeon peas need, and vice versa. The farmer knows all that. If at the end of the crops are poor, the farmer might say, well, I didn't get a good set of seeds, so blame it on the seed, but how long you will blame it on the seed? It's his responsibility, it's her responsibility to make sure that the crop grows to its fullest potential. And if there's continued failure, then the problem is not the crops, the problem is the farmer. I'm putting to you that culture is the farmer. The people are the crops. And the culture represents the things that nourishes and nurtures the crops. Our music, our arts, our foods, our practices, all of them are supposed to come together to help to nourish society. But again, when we go back to our colonial past now, we're dealing with people who either don't know very much about life or who choose to ignore certain things and keep us in the dark. So they say to us that, well, it's just music, it can't do nothing, or it's just art. That's not the case. As we recognize now, people are weaponizing music. They did it in the States. We saw the same thing happen in Jamaica, and then we see it here in Trinidad also. Music permeates your psyche. And I'm going to give you a live example. Remember some years ago when we had artists singing all kinds of degrading things about women? I mean, they're still doing it to some extent now. But we call women this, call them that. I don't want to call the name now. But you will remember. And we had some little girls, little babies growing up, and seeing their parents dancing and partying to songs that calling them all kinds of things. Now these young children have grown up, and guess what? They're living out the reality that was in the songs 10, 15 years ago. And that's my example of that. So don't ever allow people to tell you that, well, it's just music. I grew up hearing that, and look how good I come out. If they tell you that, tell them, well, imagine how good you would have come out if you had been grown up in a much more enabling environment. So, culture is not something abstract. It's the things that we do. And therefore, those of us who see ourselves as cultural activists must understand that the things that we do must bring value to our community, must help to uplift our people, and not pull them down. So, just as I said that the farmer is like culture, nurturing the people. Just as crops will require different conditions for proper growth, so it is in the case with culture. I look around and I see we have people of African descent, people of East Indian descent, people of mixed descent. And you would recognize an East Indian person appreciates music differently to an African person, to a Chinese person, right? That's because, you see, we are all different. God made it like that. We're different. And if you're different, you're going to see life differently. And if you see life differently, you're going to respond differently. But we live in a one-size-fits-all society. Just like the education system, where it's lopsided for the students who can do maths and English and science. And if you can't do that, well, they don't call it Dumpsy again, but the suggestion is still there. And the other day I was asking somebody, I said, this fella here, who couldn't do maths and English and so on in school and all, they say he doesn't see. That's the guy in the garage across there that could take down your engine, scrap it down, fix what is wrong with it, and put it back up without a diagram, without anything. Isn't that intelligent? Isn't that intelligent? So, I'm just giving you that example to show you how we must learn to appreciate each other, to appreciate that different people will do things in different ways, and that different people need different things to nurture them. Okay? So, let's talk a little bit about what we come to talk about, how the Carnival impacts and empowers our community. It was alluded to a little bit earlier on. Whenever Carnival time comes, one of the important issues that comes up is something called funding. We need funding for a lot of things. And unfortunately, we hear too often people referring to something called handouts. You know, that people looking for handouts, you know, and that this thing is like a burden. And particularly now that the economy is all over the world, actually, the economy all over the world is in a state of flux and panic. There's always going to be the tendency for them to reduce funding for events like carnival events, etc., etc. So I just want to point out a few things to you. The people who are involved in the carnival, people who do music, the people who do math, the people who play band, etc., etc., they make a major economic input into the local economy. Let's talk a little bit about that. Thank you. From my estimation, we have between 800 to 1,000 songs produced each carnival. Right? We have the Calypsonians, the male and female senior Calypsonians. We have the juniors, we have the children at the school level. We have the soca artists, we have the chutney soca artists, etc. All of them would go to a producer. First of all, they might just decide to do a demo. A demo is like a track that you can use to perform with. And a typical demo is about $500. So if we have about 800 people spending $500, we're talking about $400,000 that is put out there just to get a demo so you could go to perform. Alright? Out of that, we might have about 600 people go to do what we refer to as full production music. That would be music that would go on the radio and so on. And if we have 600 paying somewhere around $4,000 to do a full production, we're talking about $2,400,000 that the people who sing and do music actually put out from their own pockets. And if we ask our brother Juba from his experience on his journey and in dealing with other people, he will tell you that there are a lot of artists that put out this music every year with the hope that they will make it back. And many of us don't. And guess what? Next year, we out again. Because we understand, just like that song that Carice performed there, we understand the value that that has in terms of building a community and building a society. We have a message to bring. And whether we win a prize or we don't win a prize, we still go at it. Yes, you will have people who just interested in winning some prize money. You will have that, and that's fine. But you have a large body of people that spend money every year to put music out there so they could try to put some sense into this madness that's going on around here. We also have people like myself and other people that do music videos. Because if we want to be relevant on the international music scene, you have to step up your game. And if we have 100 people doing music videos for approximately $2,500, we're talking about $250,000 that people pay from their own pockets. Let's talk about the wardrobe. You're going to perform. You're not going to perform on the street clothes. Women in particular might have about 3 or 4 outfits to perform on stage. We're talking about a modest, and I'm bringing down to a small figure here now, $1,500. If you talk about shoes, if you talk about outfits and stuff like that, $1,500 to get yourself to look good on stage. And by the way, I was talking to an artist the other day and he was saying, boy, people just feel I have plenty of money because I always looking good on stage. And then realized that that looking good is just on the stage. And he just hoping that he get a little pay so he could go home and buy some food. But so it is. That same artist might have props, dancers, dramatists to assist him or her when they're on stage. And that could easily come up to about $500 each. So if 600 people hire people to assist them on stage for $500, we're talking about $300,000 again. And that's approximate figure. If we add that up, we're talking about $4.25 million that artists invest in the local economy. And if we were to put in now the people who engage in steel pan, the people who engage in mass, I'm telling you, we're looking at somewhere in the region of $15 to $20 million that we spend. We ain't get a cent from nobody yet. We spend that. And when we spend that money, guess what happens? People come from New York, Canada, this way, that way, Australia, all over the world to come to enjoy the environment that we create. And what does this money do for the community? Apart from the artists that making the money, you have the music producers, the musicians, the background vocalists, you have the tailors and the seamstresses, the dancers, the dramatists, the artists, the sound system people. And you know what happens to that money? Somebody will be able to buy some uniform for the children to go to school. Somebody will be able to buy food, somebody will be able to buy a pair of shoes, somebody will be able to pay the light bill. So we're talking about we the people, we the creative people in the country actually investing in our local economy that enables millions of dollars now to be earned from airfares when people travel to come into the country, hotel accommodation, to the people who attend shows and purchase tickets, to the persons who patronize the vendors, the foreigners, and that's a huge figure. I don't have that figure with me, but what I'm saying is we invest close to $20 million so that the country can earn a huge amount of foreign exchange. So that the input that is made by, whether it's the regional corporations or the government through the regional corporation or the private businesses and so on, the input they make is simply to assist us in creating the environment. Now, what does that do psychologically to your community? Just imagine someone like Ms. Pascal, who was here with us a little while ago. Every time she makes it to Skinner Park, every time she makes it to the Savannah, every time her music plays on the radio, it's going to tell one of those young ones growing up who know her, who see her walking the street every day. But if she could do that, I could do that too. Give them a sense that they can accomplish. When your steel pan or your mass pan or whoever goes and wins a major competition, it brings a great deal of pride to your community. You know, we boasting about people like Brother Kinte and Gypsy and Superior and so on and so forth, right? And every time we mention that these people from Rio Claro, what it does, it sends a subtle message to the minds of particularly the young people that, hey, we can do this. And particularly at this time in the world where the world appears to be going through a transition, and we're not sure what we're going to end up with on the other side, it's very, very important for communities to pull together to recognize that we collectively have the strength and the ability to do great things. I'm saying that our communities, particularly the rural ones, are the foundation of true social stability. Despite the urban trappings of success, many of the great success stories of our land have originated from communities like Rio Claro. The recognition of this value that communities bring by the people of the communities is a great starting point for development. We have become lulled into a sense, it's like we are always waiting for someone to come and do something for us, bring something for us, give us something, and we don't realize that we, collectively, if we're able to come together and pool our resources and put aside some of these foolish differences, can make so much of a difference. If we're able to consistently demonstrate to our young people by honoring those among them who genuinely, and I want to stress on the word genuinely, contributed to development. Don't honor somebody because they're your partner, or because you and them in the same political party, or deny them because they might have disagreed with you some time before. Because when you honor that person who is a scam, the people know. The people know the spiritual effect that that act is supposed to have is destroyed. You give somebody who genuinely deserves it, and people will say yes. It will register. Our young people will acknowledge it. And that is so important. Before I go, I just want to share an experience I had when I was growing up. Because my grandparents lived in Tableland. And every New Year's Day, the whole family would go to Tableland to spend the day. And at the time, my grandfather had already passed. My grandmother would sit at the top of the front step, and all of the children, I talk about big adults talking about, because we small and we growing up, all of the children, when they reach, they would kneel at her feet while she sits on the chair, and she would give them advice for the rest of the year, and she would bless them. You know what that did? That taught us all respect for your elders. The things that we do, once it's done genuinely, has a profound effect on society. So I want to encourage the library to continue this initiative of honoring people in your community. Do it in a meaningful way. Try to do it with a little more pomp, a little more ceremony. Get the young children around to see. Let them see the uncle, the aunt, the neighbor, somebody who is doing something constructive in society being recognized. And we mightn't live to see it, but society will certainly live to see that transformation that these kinds of positive actions bring. Congratulations once again, and may you all have a good day.
The world needs a different you. The world needs a different you. The world is waiting on you. Good things might come to you, but logic needs an upgrade too. The boy can make it, you know it's true. Right now, the world needs a different you.